still warm with a ghost of us. Name in my mouth cuts too much. Half a thought and it folds in two, like a bruise leaves a mark on you. Don't hurt in my shaking hand. Know something I don't understand. Like ghosting at the edge of me. Something there that I just can't see. You hear that too? Or is it just me? Downside out, downside out. I need to go where I don't belong. Downside out, downside out. I need to go where it feels so check. Keys in place, it's the same sad song. Empty space that was here all along. Every step is a borrowed shape. Every second a vain escape. Laughter crying out for sin. Summer stealing the autumn wind. There's a face that I almost know through a window where I won't go.
All right, hit that like, everybody.
I held it still so it wouldn't room. Now it moves in the things I do, in my hands, in the way I speak, in the cracks when I try to sleep. And you sit like you always did. Never answer, just nod your head. If I reach, do you disappear? Sound, I get lost when you're not around, and I don't know which one is worse. You being on me first.
I gotta start right away. Sorry. I don't have a guest right now. It's just you and I. I realized right as I was getting started that I was carrying around so many cats that my shirt is covered in chips of chippings. And as I take them off, they kind of flutter. It's like the hairpins that came out of the witch in the old Warner Brothers cartoons. When I leave a room, it goes pew, and there's just like they fall to the ground. I missed you as well. It's nice to be back. Happy Monday to everyone. So I've been, you guys know what a big fan of the future I am, and being named after an AI, I feel particularly tied to it in a way that perhaps other people are not. And so I am using it to its maximum effect, mainly to make AI sloptastic thumbnails for my own stuff where I get to joke around. And the lack of seriousness is actually so freeing. And although I do like Monday Man as a hero and may have to get the suit actually made, so yeah, smash that like and subscribe. This is the point I'm getting to. I'm going to show you guys something. It was shocktastic. It was exciting. I really went out on a limb and decided I gotta hold on. Let me move this up here so I can see myself and look you right in the peepers. Everybody touts, we've talked about the Claude Boys, and we've talked about our, with our dear friend Rob Glenn about the uses and misuses of said things. And I gotta drag this. Where are you? I did a kind of a rundown. Was it in Perplexity? I thought it was in Claude, but maybe not. Because I use all of them, and I'm a maniac. It might be Perplexity. I did a how do we put this? I think it's this. It is, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. I had I had an analysis done by AI of yours truly, and I'm not here to point fingers, but those of you that watch and aren't subscribed, this report kind of calls you out. Also, the fact that I just got an agent and I've only had them for about, I guess, 10 months now. Not even 7 months. I feel, this needs to be updated. But I check this out. So I did a Hal Sparks breast, which is very useful if you're thinking of running for president or something along those lines. And actor, comedian, political commentator, streaming host. This is what it came up with as my primary expressions of myself. And that is the industry, actor, comedian. It was prepared in June of 2026. This is fairly fresh by Perplexity Computer. So it went through the stuff. And overall, fair to middling. Executive summary. If you are a network looking at me right now, is he under leveraged, and could we build something on the back of this young upstart? This is what you would peek at first before doing a line of blow and then jumping out a window, I suppose. I just watched Wolf of Wall Street again, so maybe I have I have a skewed view of how executives live. But yeah, TV and movie. Why not TV and movie star? We'll get to that in a moment. Apparently, it's very judgmental. But Hal Sparks maintains a moderately strong, niche-dominant brand. Thank you very much. I prefer to view it as a cult following, with deep loyalty inside progressive, LGBTQ+, and comedy enthusiast communities. Well, it sounds like I've got the only audiences worth fucking having. Look at me. Active crisis risk is something that they have to look at, because they're going to hire you for a movie or something like, hey, is somebody going to come out of the fucking woodwork and force a Plattner moment on the TV show? That's what they're talking about. So they go digging around in your past a little bit and see if you started any shit that can't be put out fairly easily. That for real. So his daily mega worldwide streaming operation gives him an output velocity no peer-level comedian commentator matches. Boom! Look at that. Nobody is on the amount of platforms I am, with the consistency I'm in, and with the volume of stuff that I put out. It's not even close. They can't even start. If they wanted to build a catalog like mine, since I've done just since COVID, can't touch this. Boom, 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 boom. All right, then. Mainstream visibility remains limited to legacy recognition. Queer as Folk, VH1, Best Week Ever. I was never on Best Week Ever. So that's weird. That's a mismatch amongst the viewing audience. I think that's what it's picking up on. I didn't do Best Week Ever. I did the I Love This. because I had a day job on another series. Thank you very much. I couldn't show up at VH1 every week to do somebody else's show. Kiss my ass. So I did the I Love This, and it does include Lab Rats, which is interesting. But anyways, and his social following under indexes relative to his actual engagement and content volume. Actual engagement. I under index. That's not my fault. That means I have real actual viewers and real actual followers and real actual audience and chat members who are awesome, and I love them dearly, and they are the best in the world. And the platforms don't notice under indexed. Who runs this index, I would say? I'm doing the work for god darn under indexed. You're damn right I am. It's not as sexy as Underdog, but I'll take it. I'll take it. That's what I am. Okay. And the brand carries no active crisis risk. There are no Amber Heards in the background, or there are no, charges yet to be filed that we know of. But that's okay. 73 out of 100. I'm straight up blue collar comedian and actor. Overall score in the 73s. This is as high as you can get without eating a baby, if you ask the all A-listers or devil worshippers crowd. 85% positive news coverage. That's nice. I mean, obviously, maybe there's less of it than there might have been at different periods. When you're on a show, obviously there's more. But in the interim, that's not bad. 60% positive social sentiment. That's good. That's considering I'm in the political sphere. By the way, that we'll see how that tracks later. It's not 40% hate me, 60% like me. It's a little more, there's a more troubling factor in there that we'll get to in just a minute. What is my charisma? What is it I've got? Okay, none in active crisis risk. Active crisis risk, I think, should be the primary one. There's always, I could start one, I guess, since that's how you get famous. 10 million plus YouTube watch hours. 10 million plus YouTube watch hours. On par with all my other peers, like across platforms, including the Daily Show ones, like the T's and the Y's and the T's and that crowd. On par with that, just by my lonesome. Of course, I get by with a little help from my friends, but running it from this little room without, at least I don't have a co-host that can go off the rails. Anyway, so my key strengths. Let's see what my key strengths are, shall we? Daily live streaming infrastructure with habitual audiences, a structural advantage no peer replicates. All right. Queer as folk, LGBTQ plus cultural legacy generates ongoing earned media, especially around anniversaries. Whenever, it's the 25th, the yearly anniversary of the show, when it started, when it ended, when we got our One Glad Award. I think there should be an anniversary of every time we weren't nominated for an Emmy for being too gay and too sexy. Yeah, that happened. That's why I laugh every time they're like, the left owns, Hollywood is gay and commie or whatever. I'm like, yeah, they told us to go pound sand. And I will put, not just my acting, but every other actor on our shows acting up against anything that was happening at the time, and maybe even here, since. So if you haven't seen Queer as Folk, go back and watch it. And try and watch it with the original music, if you can find it that way, which means not broadcast. You're going to have to find DVDs or something like that. But there you go. I do have an organic following. I almost read that as orgasmic, and I'm going to stop there because I have no active crisis risks, and I don't want to blow that. Okay. Genuine multi-format output. That's right. Emphasis on the genuine. multi-format output, stand-up touring, nerd Halen band, streaming, radio, podcasting, acting. Tight, look at this, you guys get a mention. You guys get a mention. Tight Sparklers fan community with high engagement. 2,148 average concurrent live viewers. See, because I'm spread across a bunch of networks, my numbers don't spike like people who are basically only on YouTube with replays or other stuff. Since I'm live on everything, because I believe in going to the audience, maybe it's the touring comic in me. Which, by the way, Friday I'll be in Santa Rosa, California doing stand-up at the Barrel House. So, and you guys are tight. Congratulations for being tight. There it is. Strong Progressive Media Network, Stephanie Miller, SiriusXM, WCPT for earned distribution. Thank you very much. Here it is. This is my key risks. This is my problem. This is what you get. I mean, you got to take the good with the bad. Okay? This is the caveats, and there are a myriad. Social following significantly under indexes versus A-tier peers. 119K Twitter. By the way, I quit Twitter, so it's going on an older number, but versus Patton Oswalt's 3.9 million. So versus, and I'm glad he's considered a peer. I think that is true. I like the guy. Yeah, so he's got a lot more. Of course, he's more dedicated to that kind of business than I am. He's very much a poster, as it were. He's the poster child for posters. But I under-index versus them. It does not mean I have less views and less engagement, which is the fascinating part. I have equal views and equal engagement of my online output, but the subscriber base is the thing, because I spread my butter too thin on the bread of the internet. All right, YouTube subscribers, 83K, disproportionately low, given the 39.7 million total views and 6,766 videos published. Now, I am late to the game. I basically only started this as a regular whatever, in COVID. And I'm up against people who've been on since the early 2000s or mid, at the very least, the 2012s or whatever it is. Is Hal self-aggrandizing due to numbers? No, actually, the numbers are what's keeping me down. I'm being kept down by the man. Audience fragmentation across entertainment, political, and musical segments limits cross-pollination. Apparently, my audiences are too diverse and don't commingle as much. Latent queer as folk caste conflict narrative on Reddit poses reputational risk if amplified by the press. And this is apparently the old, Gale Herald iron in the fire that's still been burning in that amongst there. So, which apparently will overshadow the good of the show and whatever. No, I'm honestly, if that's the worst, what are we going to talk? That's dead and buried as a past issue. But also, what are we going to argue? That everybody has to like everybody in their workplace and get along automatically for the product to be good? Clearly not. No new acting credits or major comedy specials since 2018 limits mainstream entertainment discovery. Now, in my defense, I just finished in 2018 and I was shopping around in 2019 and then COVID. And my agency was eaten during COVID. ICM literally vanished. It was eaten by, it is science. Thank you, CSL. Get used to it. And I didn't have an agent since because I was too busy doing stand-up. So and I get it. They're totally, they're not wrong. They're absolutely not wrong. This is, I've been operating, in my own little cul-de-sac of the internet. Okay, here's the social media sentiment. I don't know why it goes Twitter X first because I'm not on there, or actually second, but I'm not on there at all. I literally left because I don't want to be paying for Sean Combs's legal defense because he's one of the shitter investors that helped Elon Musk buy it. And if you're on there, you're putting money not only in Elon Musk's pocket and BlackRock and a bunch of Saudi princes, but also Sean Combs and others like him. So, YouTube, 83,000 Serbs. Yeah, Serbians. I'm huge in Serbia. Subs, 39.7 million views. The average concurrent viewers, just by comparison, and the videos I've published, warrant me being over. Now, this is a late number, by the way. My numbers have jumped, and I'll tell you why, and you won't like it, but it's true. Since I allowed advertisements to just play, I don't do advertisements, I don't do live reads and stuff, but since I allowed advertisements, just let them roll, which if you're a member, I don't think you have to watch. And also if you have YouTube Prime or whatever it's called now, YouTube Plus, you don't have to watch them. But if you do it for free, they play like they do on everybody else's. Apparently, and boy, would this been fun to know a year ago, YouTube isn't interested in your channel if it doesn't run ads because they can't make money off of it no matter how big it gets. And if they reinforce that trend, they'll have a bunch of big channels with no ad rev taking up data space, and so they intentionally push down on you. They really do. They throttle your channel because you're getting a free ride. So, yeah, it's YouTube Premium. Thank you for that, I think. Anyways, it feels premium when I'm on here. How you doing? Good afternoon and welcome. Good evening. Good night. So that's why we gained almost 10,000 followers in a couple of months. It's because they showed me to the rest of the internet. Now, there's been a couple other things I've done, which, of course, is streaming vertically at the same time. And while doing that, and I don't know, we started, I think our thumbnail game got rocking because of CSL, because it Can't Stop Lying. But Instagram, 98K, cross-promotion, lifestyle, show content. I don't post nearly enough on any of these. That's also what it tells me. Twitch, 9,273 followers, 159 average viewers. The interesting thing is, I'm a Twitch, I do a simulcast of this. Many people just jump over for the community of being able to talk on YouTube. The only thing that, the benefit of Twitch, besides the emotes and the fun and how it works and all that kind of stuff, is that if you're on Twitch and you watch, even if you just have it open on a separate window, if you're subscribed on YouTube and you can go over to Twitch and you can watch, you can make clips of the show and share them. And some people really do great helping me out that way because it's kind of automatic. They have a much better system for sharing stuff like that. Substack is new. I got 1,400 subscribers on there, which is pretty damn good. Obviously not paid. Again, part of my limit that I run into is I don't put anything behind a paywall. And then my Patreon is active. I have an undisclosed number of people. It's not a lot, but it's good. Exclusive comedy club events, early access. That's the thing. The early access part is something I'm also working on. And we now live stream to it, which is brand new. So positive themes lately. What's going on? Is this boring? Am I annoying you on a Monday morning? We'll get to all the news in a second, but I'm not guilt tripping you. Nerd Hail and band reception, uniformly positive. Las Vegas Review called me the great comic musician Hal Sparks. They're absolutely correct. CGCM Rock Radio praised a level of hilarity that takes their show to the next level. The progressive community listed alongside Steph and other trusted progressive voices on Reddit communities. I'm not even on Reddit. Should we start a Reddit? Is that another thing I have to do? Son of a bitch. Sparkler fan identity. You guys see this? A fan made Sparklerverse anthem, which I think that was Liberal Dan, right? Signals the community has deepened its own cultural identity because you guys, I don't have to worry about Trump being MAGA and MAGA being Trump. You guys could carry on if I'm taken up in the rocket ship after I cut my balls off and put my Nikes under the bed. Comedy credibility. Podcast interviewers describe him as a brilliant improv comedian turned political commentator. I didn't turn. I'm still both. This is this one trick pony shit that Hollywood has. That's what's happened. I didn't turn political commentator. I'm also capable of doing both. You got a problem with that? Got a problem with that? Maybe it's your problem that you don't think both can exist at the same time. Maybe I just get too wonky in my seriousness and it's so good you forget I'm also funny. I'm going to have to, you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to do like a full carrot top on my political commentary where I have props whenever I'm going through a bill and marking it up. Okay. Negative. Here we go. Dun. Hold on. This is the scary part. This is where we get worried, where we have a, hold on. Oh, there's 2 threads on there? What the hell is going on? That was weird. Why do I have another? Now, here's my problems. These are the big ones. Queer as Folk cast conflict thread. Our Queer as Folk, October 2025. Users describe cast tensions with Gail Harold and Randy Harrison. Characterize Sparks as small-minded and insecure. Not picked up by the press, but it remains searchable. Okay. I'm sorry. Can I just say for the record that there's a mix and match? It's a shame that Gail and Randy get mixed into one person. Randy Harrison is a gift to the human race. Period. He's a super sweetheart. There was never any issue with that young man. Ever. Please. Ever. My respect for Randy Harrison is never ending and shall not be questioned by some randos on Reddit. Are you kidding me? Yeah, but it remains searchable. Uh-oh. And I probably started up again. But you know what? I could use a little controversy. Because I'm too nice. I do need a scandal, but it's got to be, something shocking but not ugly. That's what you're always looking for. That's the sweet spot, I think. Legacy perception gap. General pop culture audiences occasionally frame him as faded early 2000s celebrity. Ow, whatever happened to this guy? Oh, November 2025. Seems to be around that same window. Last year. Indicating awareness does not track his current activity level. It's just they don't know. I'm in a pocket of the internet doing quite well. And that's it. I guess this is the curse of being on the I Love the 80s, where they now kind of tip as far as that story. It follows you around even when it's not true. 2019 viral controversy. Mocking fans of fictional villains with mental illness references remains a searchable negative data point. And this would be my why I don't think it's healthy for people to like anti-heroes and villains. And I think it actually can metastasize into a mental illness, if not as a sign of one. Like, get help, I think was what I wrote. Like, if you think Hannibal's the good guy in any of, in the series, much less the Silence of the Lambs, get help. It's kind of the root of that. And then it rolled into, whatever ongoing Twitter. But I'm working on it. What am I supposed to do? Keep my powder dry? I'm a fucking comic. Boy. All right. So, live stream chat, you're killing it. You're awesome. Highest engagement, Sparklers community. Reddit mentions polarized legacy versus current audience. Isn't that what Reddit does? I'm dead serious. Like, Reddit does that with vehicles. Of course it's going to do it with celebrities. I have this and I love it. I had one of those and I hated it. Like, that's basically Reddit in a nutshell. News coverage is good. No crisis coverage. I'm going to start putting shocking in this personal break. Whatever we do as a thumbnail, CSL, for this little breakdown of myself. Shocking. How reveals the past conspiracy against him that's keeping him down. No Substack is being weird? Wouldn't it be the time for that to happen? YouTube comments are 65% good, 15% bad. It's that middle zone that I got to work on. It's the namby-pambies over here. It's the independent voter I got to win over to my side. I need more fighters in my Congress, I guess. And then shitter, 55% positive, 20% negative, and 25%. I like that guy. He's all right. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, they go through this, the anniversary, the profile on me, and the Digital Journal published a comprehensive career profile. They did? Media Path Podcast ran an 87-minute episode covering the full arc from acting to political commentary. They did? Oh, right. That was a show I was on. Never mind. That was an interview. The Digital Journal came from that. I see. Okay, political commentary circuit, Nerd Halen's touring, and then this, the coverage gaps. No new acting roles since 2018. I know this. My agent died. Well, he didn't die. He moved to a management firm that I had previously been with, and I didn't like, so I wasn't going to follow him. And then, So limits entertainment media discovery cycles. This is true. I think that's reasonable. That's a reasonable criticism. We can work on that. You know what I mean? Man's got to know his limitations. No original comedy special. I get around that, quite frankly, in the new age by every month. I do a new comedy special and I live stream it. I don't post them. Maybe that's the thing. I haven't posted them after the fact. I got to start doing that. That's what it is. Because I don't repost them live after everybody's seen them. Because I want them to be our little secret. But they probably shouldn't be. A significant gap for comedians at his level seeking mainstream attention. Sure. I would put any regular flapper show that I do on a Friday, which is by and large improv and all thrown together just once a month, up against any of the specials I've seen lately. Absent from Variety, Hollywood Reporter, except Anniversary of the Daily Beast, Vulture, similar entertainment trades. Yeah, that's a publicist thing. I hired a publicist for about 10 months, about a year and a half ago. Way too expensive for way little return. I was like, I'm going to build an AI that will do it. Still working on it, but whatever. No CNN, MSNBC major network appearances despite active political commentary role. That's because I'm in Las Vegas and not LA or New York. And especially not New York. That's it. Like, you can just, if you're in New York, you can just like call up and go, hey, you need anybody to come on and yammer about stuff? And they're like, can you be here at 3? Yep. And then these are my peers, apparently. Now, I don't know what this, I guess this is at one point. Let's see, my peers are Patton Oswalt, Dana Carvey, I guess because he does political personality stuff, whatever. Will Wheaton, left Twitter, had 3 million. Okay, good dude. John, of course, Stephanie Miller, Dean Obadala. Yeah, so he's on Sirius and got his own channel, and I have 3 times the subscribers of Dean on YouTube. That's interesting. I've never checked these things because I don't. How do you measure yourself compared to other people? By height. So, and Patton Oswalt's got his minimal own channel, entertainment first, A tier, large following, but less daily content. See, that's where nobody can compete. Dana Carr, strong legacy, podcast focused. Entertainment first. I'm multi-format. Do you see the diversity bar? There you go. John Fields, politics first. Stephanie Miller, politics first. Dean Obadala, politics first. Will Wheaton, actor into author advocate. Similar pivot story. Now on Threads. Huh. So he's built a home on Threads. That's maybe why I'm not on there about. He's a good guy, but I guess he's like owning Threads right now. Is that the idea? Cool. Good for him. Nice enough guy. I think I've only interacted with him once, but seems pretty decent. This has been the curse of my life, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to branding. Multi-format. That's it. This is Hollywood, and in the 30s, I would have owned the goddamn town because I'm a quintuple threat guy. But now everybody wants you to do one thing and stick to it. which I find boring and sad. If I can do it as well as one of my peers in whatever that area is, I get to do it. Love of the game. That's what okay. So hit the like, share the show if this is interesting to you at all. But mainly, subscribe. So it tells me what I got to do. And I don't have a systematic short form distribution for daily show stream content. That's my big failure. This is the most direct growth lever available. I have no active TV film generator. I don't think Wheaton does currently. Maybe he does. I don't know. Nor does Carvey. I guess we both tour. And Patton's, in and out of stuff all the time. So it's hard to track. He's probably always working on something. Audience silo effect. This is the part where apparently I'm spread too thin, but also in a niche. Entertainment, political, and musical audiences are not cross-pollinating, limiting viral growth across segments. I got to tell you, I'm not necessarily interested in the viral growth across the segments. If I have fans that only like one part of what I do, and that's their thing, I'm kind of proud of that fact because it means I can have a fan base in that area, and it's not reliant on, I just like the guy, so I'll buy his Don Johnson single because I liked Miami Vice. Like, I don't want to be that guy. Risk assessment. Still that QAF cast conflict narrative surfacing. Severity, medium. Probability, low. Fan contribution, very low. But my problems are subscriber under-indexing limits algorithmic reach. Very high severity. Problem is a now. Red letter now. Dedicated subscribe CTAs, and that's call to actions. I need to tell everybody to call to action. I need to be better at call to actions. You guys know I suck at this. YouTube shorts and clip strategy. Audience fragmentation limits crossover. That's I don't necessarily view that as a negative, so we'll put a pin in that, but I understand it. And then the mainstream acting career gap widens. I just got the new agent this year, and so it'll take a little while. And I have long hair, which is going to limit my work for a while. It just is. It just does. Period. And between my dad passing and my girl going through the big C, this year as an entire pause in that realm, by and large, can be forgiven, I believe. I just feel bad that I signed with my agency right in the middle of this. They didn't realize I was going to step on these two rakes in life right away. So immediately, within the next 60 days, ladies and gentlemen, I have to launch a YouTube shorts and clip strategy. And then I have to have a unified subscribe CTA, call to action, where I do that stupid thing that I find annoying at the end of every video that says, hey, if you like what you saw, subscribe and click here for the thing. I've got to do those because they work. It's just the reality. Do you guys mind? Because I feel like it's an irritation. Like, I don't mind them when I see them on other channels, but I don't know why I would judge you guys as minding. But I kind of do. Because I'm so busy. It's like, I feel like if I was in the middle of a conversation with you guys, any of you at a comedy club, and then I tried to sell you a t-shirt in the middle of it. That's how I feel when I'm doing this show. Does that make sense? I know it's a total disconnect, but it's absolutely how I feel. Because I see the chat, even though if I can't react because I'm doing stuff, I do feel like it's a personal exchange. And so I would feel weird going, by the way, have you ever thought about timeshare? That's what it feels like. Somebody just said I would love to help you with that. Check with Andrea. We'll build an army. VJ Kodak? Oh, thank you. Yes. I feel like you're just the person. I really do. And then cross-audience bridge content. Again, I don't think that's a necessity. As a matter of fact, I think the audiences growing on their own is kind of what's incredible. Because that's one of the best things about my career is that when somebody comes up and goes, oh my God, your show was my childhood, or your show was my favorite, or whatever, I have to guess which one it was, because the Lab Rats crowd feels the same way as the Queer as Folk crowd feels about that show, and that's a great thing. You have 3 of my t-shirts. I think you win, Cindy. So, and then In the next 60 to 100, I have to do it with a 25th anniversary push. The anniversary cycle is live now. Pitch long form profiles. Okay, sure. While the momentum exists. Okay. Comedy special development, explore recording and distributing a stand up special via YouTube. Okay. Yeah, I can basically just, what I need is to like edit the last 20 months of shows into, you know, album level content or something like that. And then Nerd Halen digital footprint expansion. The band has strong live reception, but a limited digital presence. Official music videos, dedicated social channel, streaming platform releases would extend reach. That's true. I don't have access to those. Caleb runs those. We have them at Nerd Halen and nerdhalen.com, but I don't have access to run on them and post on them and that kind of stuff. So maybe that's it. I should be at 3 million. I kind of agree, but the interesting thing is what this report tells me is that I have the viewership of somebody with 3 million subscribers, but not people subscribing. So subscribe. Maybe people forget. Maybe they really do. So deep in the Substack Patreon ecosystem. At 1,400 soldiers, there's significant room to grow the direct monetization layer and reduce platform dependency risk. That's why I spread across a bunch of different shit. So there you go. There's my sources and methodologies. It was compiled over this stuff with my LinkedIn, my Wikipedia, the Hollywood Reporter. That was June of 2025. There you go. Yeah, good idea. So yeah, so like and subscribe. So that was ultimately what it boiled down to, ladies and gentlemen, of the great sparklers who got multiple, name drops in that, multiple tags. And I can't tell you how much that warms my heart. It's just a lovely thing. That that element is just. It's a beautiful addition to a career that I view as ongoing. And the funny thing about me always being patient with my acting career is that that's not really it's not. I've always wanted to be the old man in the movie. I've mentioned this before. My goal in life as an actor was to be Hume Cronin, Anthony Hopkins, Burgess Meredith, Alan Arkin. And to do that, you have to have a long career where you're building up trust and working a lot and developing your skill. But if you have gaps, it's not as big a deal as if you're just trying to burn daylight while you're still hot and you're coasting your career on, abs, which I still could do, by the way. That's the idea. That, is that I want to be that, so, yeah. So I'm like, longevity of my career is my key to success, not spikes in it, because that's how it's mostly read. John Lithgow, abso-fucking-lutely. And so that's, obviously you have to build not only your legacy of stuff, but you also have to build your skill over time as a reliable performer that delivers what people want, right? So by being in No Rush, it's how I ended up getting Talk Soup in the first place. And because I'm more laid back about it, because my goal is farther away than other people's, which makes them desperate and a little needy. Jeff Bridges is a great example of somebody with a legacy career. Although I would argue that people think of him as the Lebowski, not the old man. Not that they couldn't. I want to be Walter Brennan. Yes. I want to, Walter Matthau as a performer, not as a performer, not as a human being, because he could be a little gnarly on set, apparently. But anyways, Michael Caine. Yeah. To be able to do that. So Harrison Ford is pretty good and he's funny as hell. Yes, he wasn't allowed to be funny almost until later. Jim Carrey's the other way around. I think Jim Carrey was bitter about the idea that he was burning daylight as a relative young man and wanted to win his Oscar while he still had color in his hair. And that's not how it works. Yeah, I want to. One day I'll grow a big mustache and sell oatmeal like Wilford Brimley, and just find a new and fun way to say diabetes. So, all right, now let's get started on the news. Now that we've got that behind us, obviously the big news is that right as we're getting proof of life that Mitch McConnell isn't dead, Lindsey Graham dies of an aortic tear, which is sad and terrifying. Apparently, had been ignoring his doctor's orders to check on his chest pain, and he had basically like a rip in his aorta. If you want to know what that looks like, if you ever saw the movie Inner Space, and Dennis Quaid is in the little pod, and he uses his laser to cut a vein in Martin Short's body and go into another, get out of the bloodstream to try and escape it. Yeah, John Ritter also died of that. These are, this, and it's one of those things where you can fix it with a stent ahead of time if it's diagnosed. And they're better at diagnosing it now. But if you missed it, or it was missed on your scan or whatever, you didn't go comprehensive enough, or you're just like, it's fine, I'll be fine, then there's a very strong chance it'll just, like it's basically like an aneurysm of the aorta in terms of it's just a time bomb. It's a ticking time bomb going off. So the irony, and there was a weird thing, like somebody posted this picture that was like showing like AI fingers on Elaine Chao's hand. That's not real. I mean, not only is it not, it's probably an actual AI picture, but it's not it's not the picture they released that actually shows his hand. I'll see if I can find the because they literally did it like a proof of life. Because you'll see one of the things, the real picture. Let me scan this up. Move over here. Get out of here. The number of menus. Shove off. Open. Let's see. I don't want that. There we go. Yeah, so this is his actual Facebook post. And this is the picture that showed up that they actually posted. And it turns out that, and it's interesting, he is literally holding a current newspaper, if you'll see that. It is a total like hostage photo. And if you'll notice in the real picture, Elaine Chao's hand is behind his elbow. Because she's touching him in a way, and this is the kind of stuff that you will see PR people do. We'll talk about crisis mode. If her hand is on top of his arm, oh dear, did she have to restrain him? Is he not coherent? Under the elbow means support and whatever. Like, I'm telling you, yeah, the fake one is the one over top with a bunch of fingers is horseshit. This is the actual picture they actually posted. And apparently, according to this, and this is whether you believe it or not, he fell again and knocked himself out. And they apparently did not do CPR on him. They may have checked him to see if they had to resuscitate. Where's her hand? Her hand is just under his elbow. It's just right there. It's just, she's holding him. She's touching him. And I'm telling you, this is how PR people work. His own people are going to go, if you put it on his shoulder or you put it on his arm right there, on the outside, it's going to look like old man sits up in bed, doesn't know where he is. And you're just like, you're fine, Grandpa. But if it's under his elbow, you look supportive and you're touching him at the same time. And if you're not holding hands, because whatever reason, they chose that. And if the thing that I think stands out more than the rest of this stuff is his hand, because it looks awfully Trumpy. And it's not surprising on Mitch McConnell, considering he's been in the hospital and he may have been unconscious um, at the time. But that it wouldn't be surprising. And also, he may have had a faint pulse and they started CPR and then he came back real quick. But this looks like Trump's hand, and I think that's the part that that really like exaggerate the thing. His fingers aren't glowing. He's next to the window, and there's like he's pinching the paper. Is that what you're like? It's a Photoshop, like they put it in later. Yeah. So again, it's just something in the image. Like I don't read too much into it. Like the idea that the CIA or somebody is trying to help the former Senate Majority Leader pretend to be alive to either to fuck Trump's hopes of the Save America Act or something is very odd. It's just normal old person shit. Everybody gather around the bed. Grandpa's gonna kick. Oh, he's actually recovered. He's fine. And then 2 months later, whatever. That's what it is. Anyways, her coming back and taking the picture. This picture, by the way, is more about Elaine Chao than it is about Mitch McConnell. Yeah. So, anyways, the point being is that you and I don't have to worry about this. This is a Republican worry. She's back from China. She flew back after. She went there when he went down. She's back in the country now. She's been in the country for, I want to say a week. I'm not very easy to please. I just don't automatically run down the road of some like massive conspiratorial thing. I'm telling you. So, let's see. My doctors have confirmed I didn't break any bones, suffer concussion. I didn't have a heart attack or a stroke. I don't have any tumors or hemorrhages, but I was briefly unconscious and was taken to the hospital. While receiving excellent care over the past weeks, I've also had to deal with a mild case of pneumonia. There's no such thing as a mild case of pneumonia when you're 84, for the record. I can assure you that I've been a good patient. At my age, I tend to do what doctors tell me, whatever. There's no way he's typing this and somebody from his office is shaping this based on the details. Because even him reading this would take forever, even before this. That was, hence the joke that I thought was particularly good that I put out, where John Thune spoke to Mitch McConnell for 20 minutes. Both words sounded very clear. There's a reason I made that joke. Did you see his last appearance as, committee chairman? Yeah. Mitch's dad proved me wrong. I don't have to, because I don't care. It's not like he's going to be a moving factor in the Republican Party, and he's not going to, Democrats aren't waiting in the wings to kind of knock him out of a seat. I don't care. Like, that's the point. This is not our problem. And therefore, if you want to think this is a conspiracy, or if you want to just be, yeah, he's fine, it doesn't have any impact on anything on our side at all. He looked younger on there. Yeah, it might be because he's been receiving medical care for a month and they've hydrated him and, God knows what. There's a tendency for a lot of people to end up like that. No IV, no ID bracelet, no medical equipment behind him in the bed. Yeah, again, you're assuming it's as bad as they said it would be. It's just... Again, I'm not going to get too tied up in it because I don't care. It goes towards, it's not like the Epstein is still alive, Epstein killed himself, Epstein was murdered business. Because I don't have to have a dog in any of those hunts because it ain't my problem. Not my people. I'm busy promoting the people that I like. But if I want to if there's some needling, to be done, there's plenty of room. Appear live on video or it didn't happen. Again, I don't care. All it's doing is hanging up the Republicans' attempt to replace him between now and the end of the year. And the idea that, it's automatically going to be a firebrand maggot replacing him because the voters of Kentucky demanded is just nonsense. We've got a Democratic governor in Kentucky. It's very and the other senator is a legacy, Ron Paul spawn. He didn't get in there because he was a conservative. He got in there because of this kind of rampant redneck Appalachian, audit the Fed horse shit. Not because he's the next, he's a duplicate of Mitch McConnell. So there's a strong possibility, without money and support or any kind of division amongst the Republican base, that a Democrat could have a shot for real, statewide, because they win as governor quite often. It's not that weird. So if they're trying to stave off, another Republican from taking his seat, or drag it on a little bit so that they can, maybe not get the midterm curse, is really what they're worried about. Because if you're trying to replace Mitch McConnell's seat from a Republican standpoint, your biggest reason for him to stay in the job, even if he's not voting with Trump and all that kind of stuff, is that if you had to swap out now, even if it's a special election, even if his seat wasn't up, you're still going to be riding the midterm wave, and it doesn't bode well for Republicans. So you'd be better to ride it out, get past this theory that Democrats are going to come out in a wave in the midterms and Republicans are going to stay home, and hope that whoever the new person is squeaks by in a special election. Yes, and Massey is eyeing the seat, and that's the other problem that probably scares Trump the most, because he's got name recognition, and if they don't have the money to spend running against him, or they do spend that money running against him, it also helps a Democrat win statewide. And you could set up a domino effect where, maggots aren't necessarily happy with Rand Paul either. So you and I don't honestly give a goddamn if Mitch McConnell stays in or gets out. We don't. The reality, though, is that this is make or break for Republicans, and the Save America Act and killing the filibuster bullshit is out the goddamn window, with him basically incapacitated and Lindsey Graham dead, which is, a big roundabout. Again, these are their problems, not ours. And so on a personal level, from a stoic optimism level, I don't feel any I don't feel any responsibility to be angry or upset or led a certain way by it. It is simply observational at this point. That's all. Just sit on it. Because we have no control over which way it's going to go until something goes some direction or another. Until he croaks or leaves, until he announces that he's stepping down because of health reasons, whatever it happens, then we'll have some input. Until we have some input, and the carpet guy is redoing the flooring because Mitch keeps tripping on it. Right. I will say that Sam Neill has passed, and always been good. How many people remember Sam Neill? Before the whole he got a Jurassic Park rebranding. And a lot of people knew him from that, and I was one of those people who knew him from The Omen Part 3, where he played the Antichrist. And he was that guy. And he was more defined. Yeah, dead calm is fucking great. Oh my God. But that's an interesting shot to use at length. Way to go, news program. But until he was, I remember when he was cast in Jurassic Park, it was a little odd for him to play such a likable character because that's the one that stood out. You know, the piano, of course. That's when he started getting sort of gentrified in it. Yeah. But and he's been. I mean, he was fantastic in Peaky Blinders. And his character was both sharp and brutal. But what a career! What an amazing dude. Yeah. So, definitely a sad loss, and that's Dead Calm. Such a good fucking movie. A three banger on the sea, man. Those two and Billy Zane. That's the whole cast. Like, it's one of those that I remember when Dead Calm happened. I was like, one of the ways that you make a horror movie, that's amazing and cheap is you can manage to make it with just three people, which is very possible. All you do is put two people together and one person separates them, and that person's very dangerous. And they usually do it in an apartment building, or it was the domestic violence or domestic incident, whatever that was. And what was the San Francisco based one that Michael Keaton was in? Those kind of ones, right? But they're really cheap most of the time as a movie because you don't have a monster. There's no CG. The effects are practical, and there's really only three main people in Dead Calm. The problem is they're doing it on the open water, which made it Pacific Heights. Thank you, that was the movie. But that makes it super expensive. And it was ironic that that three banger you could make so cheap if you'd found maybe it was just what's that Breakdown, the one with Kurt Russell. The Hitcher is a bit like that, limited cast. But I happen to also think that some older actors are killed by playing old people because they're getting older, so they get cast in it, and they end up playing older than they are. And that means you spend months compressing your diaphragm, physically not taking care of yourself. Yeah, Duel was a great one, yeah. And you're probably trying to set a good example for the other actors, and you're committing to the character more. So your body and your movement around the actor, your breathing, the character rather, is not its healthiest because you are portraying someone in that situation. So, bless his heart. Just great work across the board. And we lost him at 78. It's a solid life with a lot of work. And the great thing about being an actor is you have many lifetimes in the same life. It's one of the best parts about being an actor is that you get to live as so many people. But, yeah. Meanwhile, Mitch McConnell is still with us, in theory. Simmer down. I love when people are like, "Man, like, he's dead. It's CGI. They're just playing us." Like, they're not playing us. I give a shit. Yeah. Let's see this. Hold on. I don't. Okay, Carol Burnett is trending on social media, but she is fine. I don't need that shit. So needless to say, and all right, this is so stupid. Obviously, but goddamn. Let's see if I can open this up. Yeah. I I don't know how many times I need to just be right over and over about this shit before we just stop taking the goddamn bait. Like, this is, Midas Touch always focuses on sort of the market manipulation part of this, which they're not wrong about. But the rest of it is also that they're just incapable of, they don't have a strategy to fucking start with. The problem with the market manipulation story as your primary argument for why Trump's on and offing this shit. The problem is that it gives the illusion of intellect. Like there's a plan. Like they know what they're doing. And it isn't. It's just that when everybody around him knows they're about to taco, then they act. And he's so dough-headed that people around him can go, hey, tap the brakes. We're going to have a depression if you keep going. And he bought into it, stopped, and then said, we'll just do the fighting on the weekends. And then they'll buy into that part of it or whatever. But like, he's not some sort of master manipulator of the markets, or he would have been an actual billionaire before he became president, instead of a flim-flam man. The Hormuz Strait is open and will remain open with or without Iran. We are reinstating the Iranian blockade. Jesus Christ. Then it's not open. It's just open to other traffic. And if Iran wasn't, if their oil was on the market and that's what eased the pressure and now it's back off the market, pressure's back on, prices going up, dummy. Yeah, it's the same with the 2020 election denial bull. It's just his ego. It has nothing to do with some sort of strategy to manipulate the midterms. Part of the reason why they say they push the election as rigged shit was to excuse him losing, but also this idea to get maggots voting again, because they were starting to drop off, especially around how he handled COVID. And they managed to get him back. Like, it's got to be too big to rig. That was the thing. And then they, again, 6 million on our side sat down, which is really how it happened. But if they had shown up in the same numbers with the same ferocity as happened under Biden, Trump wouldn't be in office. Be a different thing entirely. Right? Again, I like somebody's like, fuck ICE. I get the sentiment. But you do realize it matters who runs things, right? And ICE wasn't doing this shit under Biden. ICE wasn't doing this shit under Obama. And ICE wouldn't have done this shit under Harris. So maybe, just maybe, the blame falls, in who lit the wick, not the explosive. Doesn't mean if somebody does something wrong, they don't get charged on it, but for real. It's a way of abdicating responsibility. Jesus, you hand the reins of an organization like that to somebody like Trump and then start blaming the assholes he hires? Take some fucking responsibility and vote. We've had this rant before, so see earlier rant. So named because it is only stopping Iran's ships or customers from entering or leaving. All other countries will have fair and open use of the strait, which they obviously don't because they're being fired on. The USA will be, from this point forward, known as the Guardian of the Hormuz Strait. Oh, God. It's just, he thinks that branding something, that if you gold leaf something, it suddenly becomes gold. That by naming something the Patriot Act, it automatically becomes patriotic. That's this shit. And I would hope we're by and large wise to this kind of nonsense. But as such, and as a matter of fairness, will be reimbursed at the rate of 20% on all cargo shipped for any and all costs necessary to do the job of providing safety and security to this very volatile section of the world. Well, Jesus Christ, with our $1 trillion military budget and the fact that we're guaranteeing this with the fucking Abraham Lincoln and the Gerald Ford and not a bunch of fucking Coast Guard boats, the 20% wouldn't come anywhere near the overall cost. So it's 20% of whatever you're shipping and whatever the cost of the shipping is. Which is worse than what Iran would take. You dumbass. It's the... What? So it's just that they're not doing any of the math. Is that what it is? Like, nobody's doing the math. When he says 20%, they just look at it as like rich dudes leaving a tip. That's how they see it. So they don't look further into what the fuck that even means. For any and all costs necessary to do the job providing safety and security to this very volatile section of the world. So I guess it's not just if the Hormuz settles down, we'll just use it for costs in the Middle East to run our bases, or we'll charge money for the Strait to pay for our bases in the Middle East. The process and formation will begin immediately. Thank you for the attention to this man. I was like, so stupid. Trump 2028. What's that? His weight plus his plus his diastolic divided by his BMI. It's just stupid. Like, it's not a thing. Like, and I wish to God people would just stop with the fucking like pretending it's an actual story. Every time he turns it on or turns it off. The other thing, God damn it, I've seen a bunch of this shit too. Beyond the whole, like, it's, 5-dimensional chess nonsense. The Netanyahu whisperer defense, the Netanyahu as the Trump whisperer defense has come back because of his, the death threats. The Iranians were planning on killing him, and so they had a plot to kill him. And so Netanyahu said they were planning to kill you, Mr. President. And then that's why this happened again. I don't give a fuck what any adult tells another adult. The adult that acts is the one responsible. How does he get a break? Like, well, he could, he wanted to do something else, but Netanyahu scared him. How about this? How about just confront the fact that he's wanted to do this shit? He thinks that he's going to be one of the great men of history, not because he thinks the Nobel Peace Prize ship has sailed. He'll be one of the great warriors of all time. And since he's constantly questioning his masculinity in public by, slathering everything in fucking gold, that this is his only recourse. This is how a lot of, egomaniacal, narcissistic old farts die, and the ones who are desperate to patch holes in a fading legacy, that's how they act. Their last act of violence. I had a theory. I'd like to run by you. Work with me on this one. So this is the interesting. Hold on, I don't want that page. I want. Let's see with this guy right here. Hold on. Yeah, run this by you for a second. See if this lands. One of the reasons why displays of high value displays of wealth, slathering everything in gold like Trump is doing, wearing a fancy watch, all that kind of stuff, is the illusion of virility that it gives you, especially as you age and your testosterone craters, or if you have an ego where you're aware of your own shortcomings and hoping other people don't find out, and you're TRTing or roiding your way into a physique. And so to compensate for that, knowing that even though people might see you as physically fit, you aren't. So you feel the need to compensate by posing next to a Ferrari or wearing a fucking $10,000 watch. That is a primate substitute for actual virility. If a mate was looking for you and they obviously can't check your sperm count and you have your own doubts, one of the ways that you can reassure them that you are virile and powerful and strong is you wear a lot of gold and stuff. You walk around with a lot of shit people would want to steal, creating the illusion or perhaps showing the reality, depending on what it is, that you can fight off all comers. If you have a big gold watch, the idea is like, I wouldn't wear that. Somebody try to steal it. And the idea by wearing it, everybody assumes you can either put down anybody who would come and get it, or you're successful, rich, and powerful enough to have someone else do it for you. But it's still, the purpose of it is the illusion of sperm count. That's what it is. And so Trump or virility, just life force at this point when it comes to Trump, and having Natalie Harper around and being, functionally impotent, which he more than likely is, mixed with a bunch of other things, and his a fading memory of when life was good, he's slathering everything with gold as a monument to his testicular fortitude that was always a myth, and he's afraid people will find out. That's my theory. So I've been wondering what the big attachment is to this gold leafing of everything, and why it seems pathological and almost hormonal. And that's what it seems like to me. It seems like people, Instagram influencer themselves, where they're leaning up against a hot car or something like that, as to compensate for their own belief about their own lack of virility, compared to what they want other people. They still want a mate or mates to believe they are still virile. There is a female parallel to this, I suppose, which would be lip plumper, cheek filler, Botox, and breast implants to give the illusion that you still have functioning eggs, right? I'm getting very primate on this. It's not the primary necessity for why either of those are. I'm sure you could still have a nice watch and a high sperm count and just like driving a cool car. And I'm sure not all women who get a little work done because they feel they look older than they feel or are. It's not the same. That's not who I'm talking about, which I would argue is the vast majority of people who do that kind of stuff. Right? But the people that stand out doing it, the Mar-a-Lago face, the people with nouveau riche expressions of wealth and like Trump is slathering gold on everything. It's like the guys, when you see somebody in a giant truck and you're like, compensating, there's a biological reasoning behind that. You almost can't even fault them for it. There's this study back in the 90s, I think it was, that I did like a stand-up bit on, but at the time, and it was the idea that like older men who go to strip clubs live longer than men who don't. And everybody was like, why? Right? I'm like, I don't know, because I had like 9 jokes on it. But the real reason was the illusion of your body doesn't know the difference between a female showing you favor because you deserve it and a female showing you favor because that's her job. That your body goes, oh shit, they're wagging tail in our face. Everybody start producing hormones again. We need more testosterone. This game is on, right? It can't differentiate the difference between why she's doing it. That's really what it was. And they produce, your body starts reacting like you're younger because it thinks you're still in the game because of the stimulus that it's getting. Surely she would not be doing this. Poor people die sooner. People going to strip clubs have money. No, sorry. It doesn't matter. We're not talking about like the steak strip club. We're not talking about gentlemen's clubs. It was ubiquitous. Yeah, not comparable. That's not anywhere near true. For a lot of like, working class dudes who don't have money, they go to a place and it's like scratchers. Like, I might win this time. That's how they do it. How dare you, sir? You know what I mean? They view it like people buying poor people buying lottery tickets. All over Kentucky, people buy lottery tickets or scratchers all the time because this is my chance. these guys go to strip clubs because it's like scratchers for them. Tonight's the night. It's not tonight. You're not going to win. Just go home. She doesn't really like you. But that's a psychological thing. That's not a primate reaction. So there you go. Anyways, that's part of why that was some of the root of the theory. Anyways, that you've got a oh, right on. Oh, it's Bob Seska's birthday today? That's fantastic. We should have him on again soon and wish him a happy birthday in person and talk Star Trek. Scratches is what you get after. Ouch. Yes, the parallel is complete. So, but that's the honest to God, that is my theory on why Trump right now, besides him realizing his days are numbered and that increasing, is that he also is, surrounded himself with people who are on TRT, like like RFK Jr. and that crowd. And your body reacts to, the younger chimps are trying to come for my job. And right? And hold on. Whoops. Oh no. Peter Van Norden died too. He was 75. Binky. The Litterbox. Anyways, that's my theory and I'm sticking to it. I think Trump is doing this because it would be pissing in the corners, which is how we used to, testosterone replacement therapy. That's why, and guys who do that, especially when they up the dosage sort of off label or whatever it is, that's why they get that like cooked hot dog look. That JD dude that is turning on Trump on the right, who I've done clips of, that he looks like that. He talks about his TRT journey, and that's why. And RFK Jr., that's why they look kind of like flushed. So, yeah. This is it would be pissing in the corners if you thought you really had a shot. Whereas, and how much, yeah, I'm doing okay in time. Yeah, pissing in the corners is like, this is mine now. Whereas, like, you guys will remember me when I'm dead. That's the gold leafing shit that Trump is doing. And clearly, that is what he's doing. He is clearly trying to create monuments to himself because he knows he is not long for this world. Let's see. Yeah, this is nonsense. I'm going to bring this up. And then, here's one of the other things. So the other big story, of course, was that Plattner, the Republicans were gearing up to make Plattner the face of the Republican Party. The four commies storyline was flying about as high as the oh my God, the squad's going to take over storyline from years ago. It's just not a big deal. And even the Republican voters are like, is it surprising that 3 House districts might have a more progressive Dem in there or a DSA person in there? No. How about Denver, where they legalized pot right out of the gate? No, not surprising. Especially in the primary. We'll think about what they can do in the general, and then whether they get past that. So the Republicans even think they've got a chance in some of these areas because it might be too far to the left. That's where their thinking is of it. They're not panicking about that part of it. So what they moved on to was, we're going to make, in an ironic fit, make Plattner the face of the Democratic Party. Because, oh my God, a guy with multiple sexual harassment claims and a lot of sketchy shit he said online, and an affinity for, Nazi memorabilia, perhaps so much so that he got a tattoo, it makes him unelectable and terrible or whatever. Never mind Trump's, Hitler speeches on his nightstand story and all the shit he ever wrote and what he continues to say. And of course, his 26 plus, I would argue 27, plausible genuine sexual assault accusations that they have yet to address, and his 27-year partnership with Jeffrey Epstein. Like, get out of here. The irony that you guys are thinking Plattner's going to be, our cross to bear is just it was beyond silly. But they were gearing up for it. They were clearly gearing up for it. That was the thing. Like, we got it. We'll make it look like they don't care who they're electing, so we can make every other Democrat that's running look like a Manchurian candidate. That's the thing. They don't care if they're a rapist or a murderer or whatever. They've got whether they plan on overturning the Constitution. They don't care about any of that stuff. They just want them to fit say what they like to hear and get elected. Anybody could be a Trojan horse candidate. So that's how they were going to use him, is that, like, look, they don't even care as long as he's for what they're for and will go through with this terrible stuff that they want to do. They don't care about all the other stuff he might do or will do, right? That's what they did. So they were gearing up for this to be the story. And now, since he's dropped out, the chances of Dems taking Susan Collins' seat have gone up. Let's look at this right now. Hold on one second. This would be this situation right here. Hopefully it doesn't play. It will play an ad, won't it? An AI ad. Wouldn't you know it? Give me a second. I won't make you watch that. But this is Enton gesticulating broadly. Let me see if I can get this in here. Hold on. I don't know why why am I not hearing that? Oh. Oh, it's Safari. Which isn't even, I see. It's not even in there. Huh. It doesn't want to play. That's very strange. All right, give me one second. Just the audio isn't coming through. I'll jump from one browser to another. Which means I probably have to watch the ad.
Plattner was an anchor to your...
Holy shit. Simmer down. You maniac. And he's styling in the summer with his no tie, gray t-shirt under it. I think he's ready to start his open mic career in 1986. All right.
An anchor to your chances to winning the Maine Senate race. Why do I say that? Well, why don't we just look first off at the prediction market odds, because I think this really puts it into perspective for you. Democrats have a better...
Also, CNN has a deal with this prediction market as an advertiser or some shit. And so they make money by pretending this thing is an actual thing. I find that irritating. I'd rather have polling. Prediction markets are dick. Although they feel like they're more reliable than polling these days because it's people putting their money where their belief is. Silly.
Now than they did before the latest accusation against Graham Plattner, of course, hit the media just about a week ago. You can see it right here.
They have that. Kalshi is the company they have a deal with. And also it says polls. Polls. So I'm going to want to see polls.
Dems win the Maine Senate race. Look at this. On July 2nd, at the beginning of the month, it was a 50-50 proposition. Look at this. But now Democrats, without Plattner, actually have a majority chance of winning in the Maine Senate race, a 63% chance, significantly up from the 50% chance that they had at the beginning of the month. Why is it? Why is it that the people who are putting their money where their mouths are, why do they think Democrats
wow, he just quoted me. That's interesting.
have a better chance now than they did at the beginning of the month?
Poly markets should be outlawed. I mean, if you're against gambling, I guess, but where idiots want to throw their money, I give a shit. I'm just not going to rely on how people think a game is going to go kind of logic to choose who I should support in something. That's absurd.
Because Graham Plattner was greatly underperforming the fundamentals in Maine. You can see it right here. Just take a look at this. Okay, Maine Senate polling. You know, Plattner versus Collins. Collins in the average poll actually had a slight advantage, was up by a point. Compare that to the generic Senate candidate. That is a Democrat versus a Republican without the names attached. Who did Mainers want to represent them in the Senate? Who did they want to control the Senate, Democrats or Republicans?
which is, by the way, this is exactly the number why the DSA folks were willing to look past anything about Plattner, because they were assuming this lead.
Democrats had a 12-point advantage, on the generic ballot Senate in Maine, and this was prior to the latest accusation against Plattner. He was already running well behind the fundamentals. Now, you might be saying to yourself, okay, how much of this is because Plattner was a weak candidate versus Susan Collins being a strong candidate? Obviously, Susan Collins has been
Strong candidate. That's adorable.
winning Senate elections.
She's an incumbent. They always have a lead, but that doesn't, as a candidate, they don't exist. There is no candidacy in somebody who's been in office that long. You either want to stick with who's there or you don't.
Since before, I did the math right here, before my 10th birthday. My goodness gracious. But you know what? Susan Collins' luck, at least her popularity with the Maine electorate, is actually more on the downward trend than I think a lot of Republicans would like. You can see it here. Take a look at the popularity.
Depends on who they are.
Figure. The net popularity rating in Maine, and again, this is in June, before the latest accusation against Plattner. Look at Susan Collins. She was underwater. She was underwater by 3 points. That is, her favorable rating was 3 points lower than her unfavorable rating. But Democrats could not.
That's also within the margin of error.
Take advantage of that with Plattner in the race. Why? Because Plattner was even lower. Look at this. He was at minus 8 points on the net favorable scale. He was less popular than the already unpopular Susan Collins, who was underwater, unlike when she was running back in 2020. And then, of course, there's the ultimate anchor in Maine, and that is, of course, Donald John Trump, who's 23 points underwater when it comes to his net popularity rating. When you see Trump being this far underwater and Collins being this far underwater, you say Democrats.
This is why they don't want to run Mitch McConnell's replacement during this race as best they can. Whether they have a choice or not, we'll see. But they don't want this headwind to be in their face while they're trying to pick a new person to replace him, because you could see a similar thing that's happening in Maine as far as the possibility of a Democrat taking the seat in Kentucky. And yes, I've talked to my mom about moving into her house and using that as an address, and having been from Kentucky, and then I'd have to rent another place, and it would only be temporary, and running for Senate.
Plattner couldn't take advantage of it. Now that Plattner is out of the race, in my mind, Democrats will be able to take advantage of the fundamentals. And you know what? We can just look through the history books. Presidential parties in midterm Senate races. The last time they won a Senate race, that is the Republicans in Maine this time, because Trump is, of course, the president Republican. The last time they won a state that they lost, that a party lost in the preceding presidential election, get this. You have to go all the way back to 2010. Susan Collins is going to have to break history to win in Maine in 2026. And with Plattner out of the race, it makes it much less likely.
Well, that sounds terrible. I'm upset. That's very sad. Poor Susan Collins. You know what? Maybe I'm sad. Maybe I'm not. I actually think she's changed. So maybe I'll decide whether I'm sad or not later. Is that too inside baseball, a Susan Collins joke? Maybe, but I'm okay. That's right. I am a Kentucky colonel. I think I should be able to run on this alone, ladies and gentlemen. Governor Patton made me a Kentucky colonel. I'm a colonel. You have to pronounce it that way, by the way. So there you go. I'm a beloved son of the state. I would love for Kentucky to have to fight over who has my legacy more, between Kentucky and Illinois. Looks like University of Illinois. Yeah, so, yeah, she learned her lesson. I hope I don't have to move to Kentucky so I can vote for her. Don't do that. That is, please do not. Well, I mean, wait until I actually can work on the place for a little while. That would be the good thing. So this, I mean, the idea that the generic, you can see the DSA in that going, pounce on anything where the generic Dem is doing well. And that's why they're running as Dems, not as an independent under DSA. For real. I mean, it's in many ways post like Bush, for example. One of the reasons Bernie ran as a Democrat, besides the party apparatus, was how well the generic Democrat idea was going before Obama really entered the race and Hillary and he started fighting it out. That's why a lot of these people like jump in right away, because no matter who wins, you're probably going to get through unless you fuck up wildly or something goes south. And when you got a generic Dem plus 13, every activist thinks like, we've got a chance to turn this state around, you know, or turn this seat into us, or make it a revolutionary state. The problem is whether or not they can win statewide. Yeah, like Fetterman, I would argue. Sure. And you know, and I think most of it, like, well, whatever. Hell just needs a soul patch and 11 herbs and spices. I'll have you know, I knew Colonel Sanders personally. He baked me a cake on my 10th birthday and told me, don't chew no backer and don't drink no booze. And I never have. So thank you, Colonel Sanders, for that piece of advice. If Hal becomes president, will he qualify for membership in the Pentaverate? I don't know. I think I would just meet with them on the regular, right? Wouldn't they? Don't you have to? Wouldn't they want control? Wouldn't the Pentaverate want to control the presidency as opposed to have input from the presidency? Yeah. Yes, that's right. I am certified to deep fry chicken. I have my doctorate in. Hey, does anybody remember how you say Kentucky in Chinese, and the Chinese name for Kentucky? Because it's particularly funny considering the popularity of KFC in China. You pronounce it Kendaji. Kendaji is how you say Kentucky in Chinese, and it means bite the big chicken. Yeah. Gravy cake. Sounds wonderful. Okay, sorry. I do have some bad news for our... there was a new... I'm going to annoy all the potheads who I always... I'm trying to stir up controversy because I need... According to my branding exercise thing, there was a news article today in where was it? There we go. Let's see. Search. Go away. I don't want to do that. Search. Whoops. Search. There you go. Hold on. Yeah, here it is. This is a Washington Post story, but it's pretty consistent. Whoops. Come back here. Hide the thing. Here we go. There we go. There is a syndrome that heavy cannabis users, they came out with a report that said it is often misdiagnosed. And they give you, sometimes people are even prescribed cannabis to cure it, which is ironic. But it's interesting, and I'm curious where people fall on the sensitivity to other people's needs in this story. So, cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome causes abdominal pain, nausea, and vomiting, and is serious enough to send people to the emergency room. One of the stories about this dude is this dude who was like throwing up for 6 months. Apparently, 2.75 million Americans experience CHS each year. I don't know what the overlap is, but so there might be people who come back multiple times. Maybe they don't have insurance, so you can't tell if this is the first time they've been diagnosed with it or not. And the diagnosis doesn't necessarily garner treatment sometimes, so they might just tell you knock off the weed and whatever. but this number can be underestimated because CHS can be hard to recognize. It was finally given a diagnosis code in the International Classification of Diseases only in October last year, because that's how people can tell and check for whatever. And so far, the most effective long-term treatment for CHS is to stop using cannabis. The main part, they thought it was just smoking, but it's not. It's actually your body's reaction to it. And it's curious to me why this would be a surprise with some people, because one of the best things that cannabis does is, certainly when people have issues with nausea during chemo and during cancer treatment, one of the best uses of medical marijuana, of course, was helping people maintain their appetite. And it almost comes out of the munchies, mythology. I don't know whether it's true or not. You'll have to tell me. That people get hungry. I've seen 9 to 5. That people, overeat or get a bunch of stuff because of, like they stuff their face because everything tastes better when you're high and blah, blah, blah. So they thought, oh, maybe this will help. One of the ways it might help medically is with people who have, a lack of appetite from any number of treatments. And it is good. It does help. But curiously enough, there is often the body responds as in a backlash to being told what to do. So if you take appetite suppressants and then you stop taking an appetite suppressant, your body might start suppressing your appetite naturally in compensation for that going away. Or if you take the appetite suppression over time, different people react to these things different ways. If you took an appetite suppressant, over time your body might normalize to that and stop producing its own appetite suppressants. And so when you stop taking it, it climbs, it just doesn't respond anymore. A lot of that comes from oftentimes people have allergies to a food they consume quite often, and they're not aware of the inflammation it's giving them because their body is so used to reacting to it that they end up craving it because think of it like if your body produced anti-venom all the time because you're constantly being bit by snakes, and you stop being bit by snakes and your body's creating the anti-venom, which could hurt you at some point if it made too much. So it starts craving being bit by snakes. It's an extreme example, but that's kind of the best analogy I can come up with. That's scary and triggers some people's phobias. But it very well may be, if you take a GLP-1 and cannabis, does one cancel out the other? I'm sure they contraindicate is what the medical phrasing would be. But there is a reality to this, is that if you use pot's a great anti-nausea. Cannabis can be a great anti-nausea medicine. But if you took anti-nausea medicine, in theory, like Zofran, for a long time instead of topically, if you just did it habitually, if you just always took Zofran, which is an anti-nausea, if you took that all the time, eventually your body might shift back, to the point where if you it might override the Zofran, unless you or say, actually, we need to throw up. I don't care what you say. And because your triggers in your body will get off because it's not really registering based on reality anymore. You're suppressing the reflex. And again, somebody said, yeah, Zofran was really helpful this summer a couple of times during her chemo. It can be very helpful for people with vertigo and nausea related to that. Sometimes it's good if people have migraines or whatever. But I'm using this as an analogy where your body will kick in and overreact because you're suppressing a function for a period of time. And it will try to get around it. In the same way that you can get, illicit drugs, you have to use more or your body won't feel it, or depression medication can sometimes, in people lead to more depression. That's why one of the contraindications and the side effects is, suicidal ideation and those kind of things, which you would think an antidepressant would steer you clear of, but sometimes it kicks in. And also there are so many things linked in your nausea reflex that can be linked to your inner ear and other stuff perception. You can get nauseous looking at something that grosses you out, which is not an internal factor, which means it has to process through you and your body's sending signals that are not based on your physical sensations. So there's a lot of moving parts in there, and you throw a like monkey wrench in that system all the time. It may not affect you. You may be one of the magic people, like old people that smoke cigarettes and cigars all their lives and never get cancer. But you also might, catch a roundhouse from it. And it's just something to be aware of. And sometimes people who are doing it on the regular get CHS, this syndrome, and then they don't know that's what's causing it, and it gets diagnosed as something else. So now it's a checkbox, and they can look into it, which is a good thing. Because it's better that diseases and syndromes and side effects of pot are being recognized and are treatable, as opposed to people just being thrown in jail for having it. This is a natural part of the process. Does that make sense? This is a good thing. This is good, because if you had this syndrome before and it was still illegal, you either had to hide it, or if you were caught with it, you could lose your job because that was the source of the disease. Right? What does RFK say? I don't know, because I don't get medical advice from people who look like a 7-Eleven hot dog after a zombie apocalypse left the burner running for months. But what I would like to point out to this is not necessarily the mechanics of this. If it happens to you, I'm sorry, and I hope you get treated and they now recognize it. And if it doesn't happen to you and it's not your problem and you're like, I smoke pot and it's magic, whatever, knock yourself out. Or if you're a teetotaler like me and you don't do it and it doesn't affect you, fine. The real story here, the real good part, and the part that we can celebrate, that almost goes along with like gay marriage divorce rates. At least people have the right to get divorced if it doesn't work out. It's going to happen, but it only happens if people have the legal right to get married in the first place. Do you see that? Once you have the big win, you've got to be able to deal with the reality part of it. And if you're doing that, that means you're past the hump. You're over the hump. We are over the hump with cannabis. This is a good thing. So THC is not for everyone. I agree. And also the amount, we've talked about this before, but the idea that like weed is the same as it was in the 70s, just silly. Now do seedless watermelons and bananas. You know what I mean? I take nothing for pain. Yeah, I don't really either. When have I mean, rarely. Yeah. Even for my shoulder, I just took like, pain relievers, not painkillers. I think that's the key. Try to get some relief from your pain, but don't try to kill your pain, because that's your body trying to tell you something. And if you yell at it too much, it might shut up and stop talking. So, yeah. This one dude, yeah. He thought he would die because of his CHS. He started smoking weed as a teenager and gradually started using it more and more, in part to manage symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. Eventually, he goes, I was smoking at every opportunity. If I wasn't at work, I was getting stoned. In 2019, mysterious symptoms began. For months, he would throw up once or twice a week and experience agonizing abdominal pain. That's the main characteristics of this. He sought medical treatment at a hospital and was sent home to recover from what doctors thought was a stomach bug. But Tannen didn't think it was a bug. He got sicker and sicker until one day he threw up every 5 to 15 minutes for 8 hours. His symptoms got so bad during a vacation in Vancouver that he went to a hospital there where a healthcare provider mentioned CHS for the first time. And again, ladies and gentlemen, knowledge is not power. The application of knowledge is power. And somebody applying this information was what helped this guy. Okay, Tennant didn't think much of it until his family physician at home brought it up too. At that point, he immediately stopped using cannabis, but it took 6 more months until he felt fully recovered. During the ordeal, he said, all I could do was throw up, lie in bed, try not taking hot baths because hot baths seemed to help. And it's because your pain triggers somehow diverted away from it. It's kind of like if you got a broken arm, somebody hits your thumb with a hammer to distract you. But that's how your body's nervous system seems to react. They don't quite know why. But that seems to be, that's the theory. That's the prevailing theory. He was given IV fluids and in hospital to keep him alive and anti-nausea medication to try and manage the vomiting, but it didn't help. Only thing that alleviated the symptoms was hot baths as hot as you can stand. And then eventually they went away, but by 2023, he assumed enough time had passed that he might be able to safely try cannabis again. It was one of the only things that helped his PTSD-related trauma, poor guy. He used mostly CBD products and edibles this time, but after about a month of using cannabis once a week, his symptoms started again. So it wasn't just the smoking as the way of getting it into his system. Although he immediately stopped using cannabis, he felt sick for months. The entire summer of 2023, I was sick in bed, vomiting. CHS often comes back if people attempt to use cannabis again. Meltzer has also seen people whose CHS symptoms are triggered by secondhand cannabis smoke or even the smell. The way I describe it to patients is they took cannabis for a while, their bodies developed a reaction to it similar to an allergy, and now they're sort of allergic to it, so repeat exposures are going to create the condition. It doesn't stay in your system that long. The reaction continues that long because it shuts down a part of your, or creates a loop in your symptomatic reaction. His diet didn't change in theory. That's the point. He didn't make this disease up. That's not the point. No, he didn't vomit for 6 months straight. He had the regular vomiting and abdominal pain for 6 months afterwards because your body reacts to it. And he's not alone. They just use him as an example. And this is in Canada. So it's not like they're looking to shut shit down. It's a reality. It's not a reality for everyone, but the fact that it's a reality for some people deserves to be looked at. It's so odd. And not one guy. He finally heard it from 2 doctors. So one guy. Good Lord. It wouldn't be a syndrome if it was one guy. He would be like a circus freak. There's another guy, New Year's Day, Andrew, here you go, New Year's Day, Andrew Whitfield, 35-year-old fashion designer and stylist in Miami, started throwing up. He didn't feel under the weather. It felt random that I threw up. A pot smoker for 15 years or so. He was used to smoking 4 or 5 blunts a day, so he tried smoking to see whether it would help. It didn't. I would start to feel really nauseous. My heart rate would pick up, and it got to the point where I couldn't hold any food or liquids down. He went to the emergency room after several days, and every test came back normal. He was given anti-nausea medication, which didn't help, and was sent home. Over the next month or so, he realized hot showers helped to ease his nausea. It was only after telling a friend that he'd been going through that Whitfield heard about something called cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, or CHS. That's what they're talking about. It's not, and again, don't get defensive about some people's reaction to it. Good Lord. Yeah. Yes, it's a daily regular smoker. If you treat it like cigarettes, this can happen. And how early they started, I would guess. Also, again, I would guess there were people who were, this frequent a user, back in the 60s and 70s, but the THC content in the pot was lower. Maybe that was it. Maybe it's what it's being grown with. Maybe it's, the variations in the plant have increased that for some people. But again, it's a business now. So just a factor to put in. I love how, this is my only chance at a controversy right now. Yeah. Gonna have to, like, the marijuana community is gonna have to come after me for not arguing that it's natural and no matter how much you consume, you would be fine. Because nature wouldn't create a poisonous thing that if you set fire to it and burn the smoke, if it makes you feel good, it must be good. Like, come on. Now do hemlock and poison ivy. For the record, setting fire to anything and breathing the smoke isn't natural. It doesn't mean you can't find benefits from it, but it isn't natural. Running from fire is natural. Building a fire isn't natural. Human beings have been operating against our natural instincts for a long goddamn time. We're like cavalry horses. If you shoot off a gun next to us enough times, we don't even flinch when we're in battle. Know how you're only human. My only human what? Yeah. So I think we're getting, we're roiling on the last of the show. I'll see you guys this afternoon. Appreciate you being here. Subscribe, will you? There's my call to action. And also, I think
It's time for a shameless plug. Oh yeah, it's shameless plug time.
I'm not shameless. I'm shame-free. Sexy Liberal this fall, October 24th. Only one date because we can't talk Stefan Nemore so far. And we can't talk her into just letting us do it. I don't know why. Meanwhile, let's see. Did these start up? Yes, hold on. This Friday, I gotta hide. Go away. Where are you? This guy. Portland there. Oh, no, that's it. Posted. I see. Yeah. Why is that hidden? Okay. Oh, I see. It's above it? What in the world? Oh, I see. Yeah, there you go. What are you doing way up there in my stack of things? This Friday, I'll be at in Santa Rosa, California, at the Barrel Proof Lounge, which is, I think, also where Nerd Halen is playing when we go up there, but I don't know for sure. But anyways, so this Friday, I am going to talk to them this week about the live streaming capabilities. And since now I can stream straight to Patreon, I don't even have to ricochet to you guys. So I can just set up the YouTube one as a members only one, and Patreon folks can watch it on Patreon, and I don't have to squiggle all over the place trying right before the show goes live, trying to throw a bunch of switches like Dr. Frankenstein. So hooray! So I will work on that, and I appreciate you guys. Those who are going to show up. I will get a comprehensive list going of people who are going to, Patreon folks who are going to show up. And yeah, I'm rolling in hot and rolling out hot. I have my flight the next morning so I can get back in time for radio is like 6 a.m. Will that stop me from doing a meet and greet afterwards? No. No, it won't. I will, like an asshole, yammer for longer than my show. Because it's what I do. And then, 2 weeks after this, we got a Flapper show. So the Patreon folks will hopefully can make up a missing show. Now, this will be more standard bits because it's sort of a road gig. It's not like the Flappers ones where I try and make up every time. But so I'll have a little more structure, maybe, within reason. So if there's overlap, I apologize. But that's because it's a club crowd and door deal and all that kind of stuff instead of the arrangement I have with Flappers, which is they take everything because we're just trying to help keep Flappers up and running and make sure that they've got people, butts in seats all the time. And they're great. So been doing it since COVID, and it's been terrific. So, but that's this Friday. And then I've got some breaking news that'll happen over the next week that I'm gonna move my rig, and that will be a lot. So it's gonna happen, and it'll be crazy, but I hopefully can, switch over and it won't, wreck the entire my overproduction that I got credit for. You're gonna yes. Thank you, Andrea, for having him yeah, gathering those folks. So Andrea just posted in the chat room, reach out and we'll do a post on Patreon as well to let her know, and she'll pass on the list. Yeah, it's sort of a new studio, still in-house, but yeah. And if I end up, having to run for senator in Kentucky, that'll talk about your monkey wrenches and stuff. Man, like the only thing weirder would be if I had to run for the kidney.
Has a very special place in the heart.
Subscribe, will you? That's my call to action. All right. Have a great day. I will see you guys later. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And now that I've got all the potheads mad at me, when I thought you guys were so laid back, guess I was wrong. Wait a minute. Maybe there's something to this song. Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Tried to call you, but your
But your
line's
line's been disconnected.